Hello. Safe travels.
How are you? See you later.
What can I do for you? Be careful. Need help? Or the Alliance?
What can I do for you?
Greetings. Go with honor, friend.
Well met. Be careful.
I'm out of range. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. Still recharging. isn't ready yet.
Hello. Have a good one.
Inventory is full. I can't carry anymore. Inventory is full. I can't carry anymore.
I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can
Inventory is full. I can't carry anymore. I need to get closer. That ability isn't ready yet. I'm out of range. Inventory is full. I can't carry anymore. Inventory is full. I can't cast that yet. I can't do that yet. I buy and trade. For the Alliance.
What can I do for you? Safe travel.
What up, boys, and welcome back to another video. So roughly 2 months ago, I made a video where I mainly open up these boxes that you get by just completing, the usual 4 world quests around in the different zones in Legion. And then people told me that it would be really interesting if I was insane enough to get the emissary boxes instead, because they can contain the mounts and legit cooler loot rather than these that you get from the like just a regular world quest. So stupid as I am, the mount from each faction that can be inside of these boxes. So this video is not even gonna be sponsored by the 0 to 10 million gold guy. If you can get like an advantage, I will invite people to it. I'm gonna start by opening up these boxes right here, which will mainly contain bullshit. That's what I figured out like the last time I opened them up. There's no gold making opportunity per se. You can get like nether shards, turn those into gold, you get some raw gold. But mainly it's just bullshit. Like, it used to be good when it was current content, because you would get like legendaries out of these bad boys. But right now, order resources if you're doing Legion mission table, and of course, like, you got like current content loot in them every now and then. But right now, they're sadly not that interesting. I didn't get anything like worth bragging about, at least when I did this last time. But we'll see. Get a lot of curious coins. I got 89 of those bad boys. Let's see. Open all of them up. Takes a while to get these, man. I'm not sure if I'm gonna... It depends if I get any mounts. I don't even know if I have any of the mounts from the emissary boxes. But if you guys like these sort of openings, and if I don't get any mounts, I guess I could do another one. Well, please let me know down below in the comment section if that is even interesting, like, at all, to do one of these. Because I love doing box openings, so obviously I don't have anything against it. But then again, I don't want to upload it just because I think it's fun to open up boxes. Like, it should also be like a balance between you guys wanting to see the video, so it's even more worth it to gather up the boxes. But a bunch of epics and bullshit items. As I said, there's nothing worth mentioning. These, however, are the big boy boxes. The boxes that will hopefully make it all worth it. Let's go. There's...
See you later.
First box? What the fuck? I don't even know what that is. Okay. Avenging Fell Crusher. Huh. Let's see. Avenging Fell Crusher. Okay, I don't know if this is... if I was lucky, man. I got it in the first box. That's as one amount down. So, huh. We'll see. Was that a glowing token? Bullshit? Okay. No Farondis chests. As I said, I don't remember if I have any of these. Shit, that was a legendary. No. High Mountain. Do I have that one? There's so much loot on the screen. Like these pop-ups, it's hard to tell if what I'm getting. Get away. God damn. Well, maybe I have that one already though, like the mount. I got a lot of these from Stormheim. Another legendary? Come on, we don't need legendaries. We don't need any of this. Nightfallen. Ooh, now we're talking. Another amount. Leywoven flying carpet. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, there we go. It's not that cool. But it's a mount. So now I have those as well. Or that one as well. Okay, what about this next one? That's from Valshara, isn't it? No, that's Warden's. Is there a mount from this one too? Carrot on a stick? Bullshit. Nope. God damn. And this was High Mountain? Jack shit. Jack shit. Nothing, man. Legion full. These are last chests that I have. And, never lucky. Oh my god. Last one? Yeah. Nothing too... I mean, I got 2 mounts. I'm not sure if I have any of the other ones, because I have no clue what they're called. I haven't really done any research on it. And I'm not even sure if that was lucky. So please, if you've tried to get these mounts before...
So today has been huge. Is getting bought out by Microsoft. This is the last thing that I would have expected. And I think that for a lot of people here, like, I've got to be probably one of the main ones. It's like, this is the last thing that I thought was going to happen. This is what's really the most interesting thing about the whole situation, right? Is that what is really going to happen now that Microsoft is buying Activision Blizzard? Like, is this going to make the games better? Is this going to make Master Chief the new Master War Chief of the Horde? I don't fucking know. But I think it's very interesting, and I'm actually glad that it's probably happening. Is a WoW sub going to be bundled into the Xbox Game Pass? Maybe. Maybe. I have no clue. Are we going to get, Minecraft stuff in WoW? I have no idea. It's like, it could be anything. But this is, like, to any degree... any certain amount of change, anything that is kind of like shaking up the board, turning things over, redoing stuff, all of this kind of stuff is always very scary. It's very scary because you don't know what's going to happen. You're basically comparing a known negative thing, right? Which is like Blizzard Activision, owned by Bobby Kotick, the fucking worst guy in the world, is on Epstein's black book, and, they fire people, and they're drinking their breast milk, and so it's like, we know what that is, you know what I mean? Like, we know what that is, and so now we're going into, like, completely unknown. And this is my opinion on this, right? Is that it's almost like rolling, I use this analogy a lot, it's like rolling a 20-sided dice. And with Blizzard Activision, we rolled about a 3 or a 5, okay? So are you willing to re-roll the dice if it's a 20-sided dice, if you want to roll the 3 or a 5? I'd say fucking so. So, I don't know, like, now, like, if I can't say Bob, like, thanks Bobby, like, it's gotta be thanks Bill or Phil, which is, it's kind of weird how the names rhyme. So, I'm gonna read through, this is the press release that Microsoft Xbox put out here, and we're gonna see what they have to say. Welcoming the incredible teams of legendary franchises of Activision Blizzard to Microsoft Gaming. And this is actually by Phil Spencer. And this is like the main guy. He was saying that he was going to evaluate Microsoft's relationship with Activision Blizzard. It seems like he has evaluated it quite well. It's about $60 to $70 billion. So it's been evaluated. All right, so let's go over here and let's look at what he has to say. As a team, we're on a mission to extend joy and the community of gaming to everyone on the planet. You know that gaming is the most vibrant and dynamic form of entertainment worldwide, and we've experienced the power of social connection and friendship that makes gaming possible. As we pursue this mission, it's incredibly exciting to announce that Microsoft has agreed to acquire Activision Blizzard. Over the many decades, the studios and teams that make up Activision Blizzard have earned vast wellsprings of joy and respect from billions of people over the world. That's true. Now, the part that's not included here is the fact that they've lost those well springs and they've run dry in the past few years. But, you know, you look at things as a you know, like you step back and you think like Blizzard has had like a lot of really big W's over the years, right? I mean, they've had World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Diablo. I mean, they've had a lot of really big things happen, and they've been massively successful, like Activision recently with Warzone. It's not like, yeah, StarCraft. I mean, over the course of years, like the pedigree here is very, very high, even though the current breed is not as high quality, right? And so let's go over here. We'll read the rest of it. We're incredibly excited to have the chance to work with the amazing, talented, dedicated people across Activision Publishing, Blizzard Entertainment, Beanox, don't know what the fuck that is, Demonware, don't know what the fuck that is, Digital Legends, don't know what the fuck that is, High Moon Studios, don't know what the fuck that is, Infinity Ward, those are the guys that nerfed my fucking truck, King, that's the guys that make Candy Crush, Major League Gaming, everybody knows what that is, Radical Entertainment, Raven Software, that's the place that people get fired from, Sledgehammer Games, Toys for Bob, Treyarch, and every other game studio across Activision Blizzard. Okay, so yeah, we've pretty much, these are just, I guess, all of the other subsidiaries of Microsoft Gaming. That's kind of what I'm assuming. I'm not 100% sure. It could be all the subsidiaries around Activision Blizzard. I don't really know. Yeah, Toys for Bob. Yeah, it's Bobby. Yeah, exactly, that's it. Those are the employees, by the way. And until the transaction closes, Activision Blizzard and Microsoft Gaming will continue to operate independently. Once the deal is complete, the Activision Blizzard business will report to me as CEO Microsoft Gaming. So I think this also goes into the conversation about where's Bobby going. Bobby is probably going out to an island on his helicopter with his yacht, with a gigantic fucking island, and he is going to just do whatever he wants. Maybe he's going to maybe he'll become CEO of another company. I have no idea. But, you know, Bobby's going to do whatever it seems like Bobby's out of the picture, right? And this is what I said before about Bobby here, is that we'll look at the Activision Blizzard stock actually right now. Let's see. Yeah, so it was at 65 and now it's at 86. So this was a huge fucking jump. When did it go down a whole lot? I forgot. Like which controversy was this? I don't remember. Yeah, which controversy was this? Was it the milk controversy, the Bobby controversy, the Wall Street Journal? No, I feel like that happened. Like that's November. Regardless, it's gone up a huge amount. So in terms of the perspective of investors, this is a good thing. Upon close, we'll offer as many Activision Blizzard games as we can within Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass, both new titles and games from Activision Blizzard's incredible catalog. We also announced today that Game Pass has more than 25 million subscribers. Holy shit! That's a lot of fucking people. God damn. And also, like, as far as I know, Microsoft, like, Halo Infinite, I haven't really had a chance to play it. I don't know really why I haven't played it, but I just haven't played Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite is a W, right? Like, everything that I've heard about the game has been positive. Am I right? Yeah, it's a W. Like, so Microsoft has unironically had a pretty good I mean, they've been doing a pretty good job.
At the broadest level, our mission at Microsoft Gaming is to extend the joy and community of gaming to everyone on the planet. Billions of people. And this deal accelerates that strategy.
Yeah, it sure does.
When this transaction closes, Microsoft Gaming will be the world's #3 gaming company by revenue, behind Tencent and Sony.
Wow.
We believe that Microsoft and our team are uniquely positioned with the technical capability, financial capacity, creative vision, and the gaming track record required to deliver a truly global interactive entertainment ecosystem. With this transaction, Activision Blizzard brings into Microsoft Gaming one of the most exciting collections of content franchises,
a lot of games,
creative teams, and fan bases anywhere in global entertainment across any form of media. Many Activision Blizzard properties, including at King, are truly beloved by people all over the world, and they will endure for many decades to come. People
forget about King and how influential and big they are. I think that you only really see it whenever you look at like the Activision Blizzard, like the quarterly reports that like you'll see on like Wowhead or whatever. but King just makes like a ridiculously huge amount of money.
Force that this is not about short-term
mobile,
results. We have seen Activision Blizzard's product roadmap and are incredibly enthusiastic about what the teams are creating and the company's pipeline over many years to come.
Well, I hope so.
We have seen strong recent performance from our existing ZeniMax and Xbox game studios.
Because, like, really, I mean, I think what they're talking about, like, that's not really a cap, though. Like, I mean, is that really a cap whenever you're talking about Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4? Nah, bro, like, even if Diablo 4 sucks and Overwatch 2 sucks, they're gonna make billions of dollars. Like, I mean, they're gonna make billions of dollars off of these games. Like, guaranteed, man. Like, especially Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4. Like, people have wanted Diablo. Remember how big Diablo 3 was whenever it came out? It was the game, man. It was the fucking game. And Diablo 4 is gonna be massive as well.
Studios and are well positioned as the stewards of Activision Blizzard's great franchises.
I'm glad to use that word.
I'm personally excited for the opportunity to work directly with the dedicated, passionate teams at Call of Duty, Blizzard, King, and each of the studios across the company as we reach new heights and even more players together.
Yep.
We're all about putting players at the center of everything we do, and this transaction is going to be fantastic, not only for our existing players, but will also help us bring innovative experiences to vast new audiences. It's because adding the Activision Blizzard portfolio to our existing operations will also propel our new forms of distribution and monetization, like cloud gaming and our Game Pass subscription service.
That's what they really want to sell.
Each of these services are helping us reach new audiences, especially as we expand into new geographic markets in mobile-first economies. Upon close, we will offer as many Activision Blizzard games as we can within Game Pass.
Yeah, I just really hope that includes WoW. I really hope it includes WoW. That's the main fucking thing. Because, like, that's the only other one you pay monthly for. And yeah, they bought the company for almost $69 billion. Honestly, I would have expected it to be more. But I guess with so many with so many situations recently, that's not the case. So yeah, WoW's worth the same as full Game Pass. That's the thing, is like, I just, like, maybe you pay $5 more for like WoW. I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, you guaranteed add in millions of people to the Xbox Game Pass. It's kind of like the same thing with like Twitch Prime and like Amazon Prime, right? But what they want to do with the Xbox Game Pass is they want to have as many games as possible on the Xbox Game Pass. And the reason for that is because it gets people playing and paying for it longer. It's in in Microsoft's best interest to have as many good games as possible on the Game Pass, because that's what they sell people on. And if they bring out a new game with a bunch of microtransactions, they put that on the front page of the Game Pass, and then they get people that are like, what the fuck is this? They try out the game, and then maybe some of them buy a microtransaction. Also, it's monthly income. It's guaranteed revenue. Like, you have 25 million people on the Game Pass. That's 25 million times 15. That's a lot of fucking money, man. So, antitrust? I don't think it's going to be an antitrust situation. I don't think so. I know people are bringing that up, but, like, when was the last time that an antitrust law really got enacted on a huge company? It's very uncommon, and I think that, like, Microsoft probably wouldn't have gone into this. AT&T, yeah, that's what I thought too. That's a long fucking time ago, man.
That's how we should do it. It's based off a threat.
Yeah, healers have threat. Mostly.
Yeah,
Get ready with concuss.
Barry's almost up.
Alright.
Barry, come over to us.
Oh no, Barry, I got you. I'm trying. I'm fair.
Netting him.
Oh, there it is.
Right again. I'm so sorry, Barry. Throwing a shield on.
You're jumping up. Mana potted.
Starting in like 5 minutes.
We'll see if they'll need my shaman. Okay, I'm gonna kite him out. I have threat. Nice. Oh, nice. Good save, guys. That was crazy.
Holy shit, where the fuck am I? Hello?
Right click it when next to him.
Ease.
We got a sign.
Next Perla, last stand, next Perla. Last stand now.
Last standing.
Out, melee, out.
That is a good time for that.
Calyx taunt and shield wall. Calyx shield wall.
Don't forget the marbles.
It's immune.
You have a stun?
Oh my god.
Coming for
You
it.
get a banish?
I died.
On the north side?
In melee.
Shield wall,
Send
shield
it,
wall.
send it.
Yeah, send it.
Wreck warriors.
Ease.
We got a
Last
sign.
stand, next Perla, last stand, next Perla. Last stand now.
Last standing.
Out, melee, out.
That is a good time for that.
Calyx taunt and shield wall.
Microsoft probably wouldn't have gone into this without extensively researching whether that's something that's going to happen or not. And they probably even talked to the government before it ahead of time. Because like you have to think like, are you like imagine you are Microsoft. You clearly know people in the government. Wouldn't you want to talk to them about the possibility for this before you just go into it? Of course you would. So the odds are they probably did this and the government knows about it and they don't really give a shit. We announced today Game Pass has more than 25 million subscribers. As always, we look forward to continuing and adding more value and more great games to the Game Pass. The fantastic franchises across Activision Blizzard will also accelerate our plans for cloud gaming, allowing more people in more places around the world to participate in the Xbox community using phones, tablets, laptops, and other devices you already own. Now, I think the idea of cloud gaming sounds really cool. Right now, I feel like the technology is a little bit farther behind people's aspirations, behind people's goals. Like, it's really cool idea, but it's just not really quite there yet in terms of like responsiveness and just the like feeling seamless to actually owning the game yourself. It's laggy. Yeah, it's laggy. So I think cloud gaming in the future will be something really cool, and it'll be good for a lot of people, especially people that don't really have the ability to buy a lot of expensive games or have an expensive gaming PC or maybe a brand new Xbox. They'll have that. So yeah, I mean, one day cloud gaming will be good, but I do think that people are reaching a little bit too high right now for it, and it hasn't really, the technology hasn't caught up to what people want it to be yet. Anyway, so let's look at this here. Laptop devices you already own. Activision Blizzard games are enjoyed on a variety of platforms, and we plan to continue to support those communities moving forward. As a company, Microsoft is committed to our journey for inclusion in every aspect of gaming, both among employees and players. Deeply value individual studio cultures. We also believe that creative success and autonomy go hand in hand with treating every person with dignity and respect. We hold all teams, all leaders to this commitment. We're looking to extending our culture of proactive inclusion to the great teams across Activision Blizzard. So yeah, I mean, obviously, this is really good to hear, is like the creative success and autonomy, because like, why would Microsoft, like you think about this logically, right? Why would Microsoft want to buy a company and then just tell them what they're going to do now? Like, they're basically buying a cookie clicker farm. They want to buy something that they don't have to spend a lot of time dealing with, and it just makes them money. So yeah, like logically, this is probably true because it would be following the path of least resistance. So yeah, I think this is probably actually true. It's just corporate speech. Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll have expectations. It's the same as Activision had on Blizzard, right? I mean, like, this is, you know, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. There's going to be the same bullshit, right? Unless Blizzard is completely autonomous, the difference between them being owned and controlled primarily by Activision or owned and controlled primarily by Microsoft, this is, you know, 6.5 dozen. Right? It's the same fucking thing, in my opinion. So let's see here. Around the world, no more exciting venue for fun and connection in video games. and there's never been a better time to play than right now. Extend to join our community. Look forward to welcoming all of our friends at Activision Blizzard to Microsoft Gaming. Well, great. I mean, that's fucking awesome. I'm happy about this. Could be the end of Battle.net if everything goes to Xbox. No, I don't think that they would want to do that because the Battle.net has like its own like brand value. So like, why would they want to change things and move everything under Xbox if Battle.net has its own brand value? It doesn't really seem like it would be a good idea because like, do you remember before, didn't they try to rename Battle.net? I'm trying to remember, like, what did they call it? They tried to rename it for a little while. What were they trying to call it before? The Blizzard app. Yeah, BobbyNet? Yeah, the Blizzard app. Yeah, the Blizzard launcher. And people just liked calling it Battle.net, and Blizzard finally gave up and they said, okay, fine, it's fucking Battle.net. So, yeah, I mean, if you had to go on the, if the difference here is that now instead of going on Battle.net, the Blizzard launcher, instead of that, I'm going to have to go onto the Xbox Games launcher, I don't really give a fuck that much. I would prefer not to be honest. As somebody who's used the Blizzard Battle.net launcher ever since Warcraft 3, I'd like to stick with Battle.net, and I'd like to be able to have the old launcher, and maybe just have them added into to this thing on the top. But it depends, right? And I mean, obviously the Game Pass is something that has like a lot of value to Xbox, and they might want to consolidate it in order to create the highest perceived value of the Game Pass to people that might be subscribers to Blizzard or Activision games. So it makes sense if they want to, condense everything into one app. But personally, I'd like to keep the Battle.net app because it's just what I've always had. And on top of that, I think that this is it's certainly going to shake things up. And I think that a lot of the big questions that people have with this, and we'll talk about Bobby leaving Activision in just a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about how this is going to affect the games and where I see this going. In general, I think that this can't really, I almost don't want to say this, right? It's like a knock on wood situation, is it would be very difficult for this to make things worse, okay? Blizzard Activision has been in the shitter for years, and this is clearly a nuclear solution to being in the shitter for years. They're being bought by fucking Microsoft. So is this going to change things up? Is it going to completely, now, okay, Microsoft is owning things and Phil is going to make the game good now. He's going to just fucking, Titan Forging was gone. He's going to get rid of like this multiple difficulty bullshit. Like we're going to have progressive rating again. We're going to have like Classic Plus. Phil's just going to help us out. Like, is this really what's going to happen? Probably not, right? But I do think that this is really what my perspective have like Activision's influence on Blizzard games and everything like that. This has always been like my perspective on it, is that they don't have like a direct influence where they say you need to make Titan Forging, you need to make PvP scaling, you need to make the raid gear get invalidated every 6 months or something, right? It's not like the board of directors is going to the Blizzard designers and telling them that. What happens really is that Activision and the board of directors that was primarily Activision people, they create expectations that then Blizzard has to do things that are player unfriendly to meet. So that's what the worst thing is that there are expectations that are put on Blizzard that then cause them to feel like they have to use certain types of retention mechanics to keep people engaged longer. So it's not like A equals B, A causes B situation. It's an A causes B that causes C, right? So you have like 1 degree of removal. So they're not causing it directly, but they're causing it indirectly by the goals that they require Blizzard to meet. So that's what I think is going to happen. Now, with Xbox owning them and, Microsoft, is this going to change? No, it's not. I don't think that it will. The only thing that we can hope for is that the expectations won't be as strong, because they're going to be, like right now, Blizzard is in they're a big fish in a small pond in terms of like Activision Blizzard. Blizzard's one of the 3, Activision, Blizzard, and King. But if they get owned by Microsoft, they are one of many. So it could mean that there could be a little bit less stress and a little bit less stringent requirements placed on employees and placed on production and retention, because there are just so many other things that carry the Xbox Game Pass and the Microsoft Game Pass and PC Game Pass besides Blizzard games already. So does this mean that it will be completely different? No, I don't think so. But what I'm talking about here is a best case scenario. Now, our best case scenarios, what to expect to happen. I think that if you've paid attention to Blizzard in the past year, you would say no. And I would probably agree with you. I think that that's it's a bad thing. WoW on consoles, finally. I've always been an advocate for this. I actually hope that they do bring World of Warcraft to a console. I hope that they do bring it to mobile. Like, I mean, obviously not like Battlegrounds, no. But like, there are a lot of things that you can do on a mobile, on a phone, that you can easily just port over, especially like smaller systems, solo gameplay, etc. It would just take a little bit of ingenuity. Now, I know how people are saying that this is such a bad thing, but why is it that Final Fantasy is able to do it on console? Why is it that they were able to have different... Like, why is there not a Pet Battle phone app? Why? Why is there not a Pet Battle phone app? There's no reason. There's really no reason why there's not a Pet Battle phone app. ESO does it as well. Yeah, it's like all of these people, it's like they hear phone game and they're like, oh my god, it's going to be like Genshin Impact and you have to pay like $10,000 to get a sword. No, like, it's just different elements of the game. Like, WoW is such a fragmented game. WoW has so many different avenues that you can do things. It's like you can go around and you can do pet battles, you can do world quests, you can do PvP, you can do your Maw daily or your fucking Kyrian assault, or whatever it is. What I'm saying here is that there are a lot of elements in World of Warcraft that can be ported over to being a phone app. I think that it's going to be the exact fucking same as it is now. And you know what an example of that is? Fishing, number one. And number two, what I'm doing right now. Like, everything in my Covenant Sanctum here can easily just be put onto a fucking menu on a phone. And if people would prefer to use that, I think that's a good thing. This is a phone game already. So I'm not... Yeah, it's already a fucking phone game. So don't categorically write off phone games and don't categorically write off mobile support, because it's not good for the game. It's reductive. The truth is that there are a lot of ways that phone integration, mobile integration, and also more so console integration can make the horizons for the game larger and wider rather than smaller. Because I think that trying to keep it to being a PC game only and not even trying or thinking about console or mobile integration, it's just a 2010 way of thinking. And I'd prefer to look towards the future. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, when I believe it. Okay, well then look at Final Fantasy or OS or then literally just go look at another mobile game. Like,
well met.
Look at ESO. Yeah, OSRS. It's so weird to me that this is such a point of contention when there are already success examples of what I'm saying. I'm not proposing something that's unheard of. I'm proposing something that is not only very well heard of, but also is successful for other games. So anyway, let's go back over. We're going to read some of the comments on this and some of the other opinions. But before that, I do want to kind of wrap up what I think this is going to be for WoW, for Diablo, etc. I think this is going to be just more business as usual with a larger... The game is being cast out into a larger net. I think this will increase the amount of World of Warcraft players. I do think so, because you're going to probably have a World of Warcraft subscription added into an Xbox Game Pass. I think that's probably what will happen, because it seems unlikely that they'll want people to pay for an Xbox Game Pass and then on top of that pay for a World of Warcraft subscription. So hopefully that's what happens. If it is, then I think that would be amazing. That would be incredible. Obviously, though, there would be people that paid for both, and that's money that they wouldn't make. So, like, is it worth it for Microsoft to do this or not? I don't know. Like, obviously I know some stuff about like business and accounting and shit, but like I have no idea what these numbers are like, and I'm sure that Microsoft will make the most financially lucrative decision with this. So hopefully that's what's also in the best interest of the players. It's hard to say.
Need help?
With Overwatch, I think you could probably easily see Overwatch moving over to, I think Overwatch is already on Xbox, and you'll probably also see a little bit less of the, of like the drama stuff happen, because I just think Microsoft won't put up with it. I think Microsoft is the kind of company that if like a department was like having problems and there was like weird stuff like this, they would just call in the Microsoft Xbox executives, or basically the hitmen in that company, and just have them fucking fire everybody and rehire completely new people if there was something like this happening. Like, and that's really just the truth. Like, they would just not fucking put up with it. And you can say that it's a bad thing and a good thing, right? In a way it's good, in a way it's bad. So I just hope that it'll be used in the right way. Yeah, they're also getting MLG. Yeah, for sure. Microsoft doesn't fuck around. Yeah, they don't fuck around, man. Like, they're not going to deal with, like, people stealing breast milk. Like, I mean, I guarantee you if this shit happened and, like, Microsoft was owning the company, every single person that was even involved in that would just be fucking fired. And, like, yeah, it sucks for them because, like, maybe it wasn't everybody's fault. They don't give a fuck, okay? So you were probably going to have a whole lot less scandals, which isn't that good for me because that means it's less videos. But I'm sure there'll still be things that slip through the cracks because, Blizzard people love to talk about stupid shit on Twitter, and so like I can always make videos about that. So yeah, aren't you afraid that there could be some monopolistic practices such as keeping Call of Duty from other platforms that are not Microsoft? The thing is, like, I'm a PC gamer, right? I'm primarily a PC gamer. I mean, fuck, I play Dark Souls on a keyboard and mouse, all right? So I'm actually really glad that, like, one thing that earned my trust in Microsoft and Xbox, and this is like, I know this might sound crazy, right? But one thing that really earned my trust is the fact that you can play Halo Infinite on PC. Like, I thought they were going to hold Halo Infinite back from PC, and they were going to make you have to hold it back from PC and make you have to buy an Xbox. I thought for sure that's what was going to happen, because that's what Sony did with Bloodborne, and that's what they've done with Demon's Souls Remake as well. So, and also Master Chief Collection, etc. Like, you can play all that stuff on PC. So, like, it's a small thing, and to be honest with you, I probably trust Sony a little bit more than I trust Xbox, based off of what happened. Remember back whenever Xbox wanted you to, like, always be connected to the internet, and, like, they wanted to, like, force you to have a webcam? Like, that always, like, really, that rubbed me the wrong way, like, really bad, back in, like, the PS4, Xbox One era. So, like, yeah, I never really liked that, and it's going to take a long time for me to kind of, like, move past that, but Xbox is making it easier for me to move past that. And, I mean, again, you should never categorically trust a multi-billion-dollar company to do anything else except for try to make money, especially Microsoft, right? And sure, but, like, you could extend that to Square Enix, you could extend that to Activision Blizzard, you could extend that to any of these companies. So I think that try to just take things as they come. I'm going to try to approach this with an open mind and not necessarily just completely shit on it, but I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. I am. And also, like, to contextualize all of this, I think the merger is going to happen, or the acquisition is going to happen in, it was like June or something like that, 2023. So we're talking like 18 months out. So this isn't going to happen like next month or, you know, in 6 months or something like that. Yeah, this is an 18-month thing. So that's the way I feel about it. It's not going to happen overnight, and it'll probably be a slow transition. There's way too much money being made from selling COD on all platforms than to just use it as an Xbox exclusive, in my opinion. And that's a good insight as well, because like Call of Duty, like the games that you really see, like, let's actually talk about this just really quickly, right? I hate console exclusives. I think everybody does who doesn't like it. Just sucks, right? Like I had to buy a PS5 to play Demon's Souls Remake. It's fucking annoying. Like console exclusives are not good for the customer. It's only good for the developers and the publishers. So why would we as customers like it? There's no reason to. So anyway, the reason why Demon's Souls is so good as a console like exclusive game is because there's no microtransactions with it. But with Call of Duty, like what you're really doing with a game that has a lot of microtransactions is you want to get that game as many people's hands as possible, because you're not really making money off of selling the game itself. You're making money off of selling the microtransactions. That's where the real money is. I mean, if it wasn't, every game wouldn't be doing it. So for a game that's primarily built around microtransactions, it's going to be much more common to see people, to see that game proliferated everywhere, like on mobile, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, PC, everywhere, because they want to get as many people playing that game to get as many chances of selling those microtransactions, right? It's just what makes sense. So, like a game like God of War, a game like Bloodborne, a game like Demon's Souls Remake, you know, I can go on, but mainly like heavily single-player games that don't have microtransactions, those are going to be the main ones that you see as console exclusives, because you don't have that added profit incentive to get that game in front of as many people as possible to sell microtransactions. So I don't think that's going to happen with Call of Duty or really any of the Blizzard games. So that's a positive. And also, like, Xbox has, again, like they've been very committed to pretty much having every single thing that's on Xbox Game Pass playable on PC. And again, they earned a lot of trust with the fact that they did that with Halo Infinite, and they didn't make me buy an Xbox for that. So I'm going to try to approach this with an open mind and hopefully a optimistic perspective. You think WoW might go free to play now? It's very unlikely that WoW will go free to play. I think WoW will probably be included in the Xbox Game Pass. That's what I would expect. Look at Sony stocks. What the fuck? Yeah, it went down. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, because like the thing is that this is a huge benefit for Microsoft. This is a massive fucking benefit for Microsoft, man.
Bobby, there have been a series of reports in the Wall Street Journal that raise questions just about sexual harassment at the company and how it's been handled. Those reports have kind of questioned whether you've really looked into some of these reports. What would you say to that?
What do you think he's gonna say? He's gonna say, "Oh, this is what Bobby's gonna say." He's gonna say, "Well, we take everything really seriously. We look into as many things as possible, and we are committed to diversity and inclusion." All right, that's what I think he's gonna say.
Of course, any issue of harassment or discrimination is something that I would take seriously and do. And like many companies today, we had some challenges, but we have worked through them. We are committed. I can tell you it's a focus of mine, and we continue to improve the culture with the expectation of being the very best, most inclusive workplace culture.
It's like you could just like, I'm not a genius, okay? I'm not a wizard. I don't know. It's just that they all say the same thing. Bobby Kotick, expect to leave. We're gonna look at that. Oh, right here. Okay, let's watch it.
How did this deal come about? And Bobby, I'll start with you. This is a company where you've been the CEO for almost 31 years. Started out with a company that you bought out of bankruptcy for $400,000. Now looking at a valuation again, this deal values it at about $80 billion. How did this happen?
You see, like, look at him smiling. He's like, yeah, man, I made so much fucking money, man. Oh my God, I made so much goddamn money. Like, that's the first thing. Like, he actually is smiling, man. He's happy.
Well, look, we've had a partnership with Microsoft that goes back to the launch of the Xbox. We've had many conversations over the years about various forms of collaboration. And as we've started to see the real competition, we're sort of at the beginnings of what the metaverse will be like. And in that race for the metaverse, it started to become apparent that there were a variety of resources and talent that we needed in order for us to be able to continue on that journey. And so, as Phil and I started to have those conversations, we realized that now...
I've said before, I don't really think the metaverse is something... The metaverse is something that every company wants to give you, but no customer is asking for. I think that the reason why the metaverse is being pushed so hard by a lot of these companies is because it gives them a place that is, in a lot of ways, free from different types of legal constraints and legal controls, and it also gives them a larger amount of control over your autonomy and expression in a digital space. So I'm not very big fan of the metaverse. I think that it's a...
Can I help you?
It's just bullshit. Basically, I think it's bullshit. Yeah, you don't want it yet. Yeah, you're right. I don't want it. Yet is to be determined.
Perfect time for a combination.
Phil, when did those conversations start, and what kind of got you to the point that you're willing to commit this kind of money to a deal like this?
Yeah, well, as Bobby said, you know, we talk all the time about the future of this amazing business. 3 billion gamers on the planet today.
That's a lot of
playing
people
in all regions, creators coming from everywhere, and we're always sharing our strategy with our partners and talking to them about their feedback. And I think we've always just had a good connection with the team at Activision Blizzard about where we're trying to go. But honestly, this is a deal that happened pretty quickly. Like I'd say we really had some formative discussions about this specific opportunity late in the year, and we just felt like now was the right time to add the right resources and capability to both companies.
Is now the time, in part because
Seems that makes sense.
Activision shares have been down? They were down about 27%.
Oh, shit.
Did that make this an easier deal to kind of get your head around?
I think as Bobby said, when we look at the competitive set that's out there, we look at the importance to us at Microsoft Gaming of people playing on mobile. We look at the coming metaverse, the opportunities that we need with great IP. We really saw this as an amazing opportunity because gaming's continued growth over the years. Microsoft's big on gaming. We're continuing to invest here, and we see it as a real strong catalyst for us in the consumer categories.
Bobby, there have been a series of reports in the Wall Street Journal that raise questions just about sexual harassment.
Yeah, they all say the same fucking thing. It's not like this is some sort of divine insight.
I know, Twitch partner flex. Did you catch that little partner flex right there? Means when I go to TwitchCon, I'm going to be able to wear like a little badge that says partner on it. I'm going to be able to walk around and be like, yeah, do you know? I'll be able to walk up to people and be like, do you know who I am? And they'll be like, no. And then I'll give them my business card and I'll say, oh, I'm Josh. I stream games on Twitch. I do these kind of games.
It was 1991. The first graphical MMORPGs had started to appear. Of course, this was before the term MMORPG had even been coined. Neverwinter Nights has dropped on AOL after climbing forth from the primordial soup known as Multi.
So I actually found in my old room a binder of my mom's notes from a video game from like the 1980s and like character information from like way back then. I felt like I literally found like the Dead Sea Scrolls or some kind of shit. Yeah, I gotta show you guys this thing because I even pulled it out. I showed her. I'm like, what is this? Like, what is that? And she's like, oh, that's an old game. It's like Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't even know she knew any of that stuff. And like, it turns out, yeah, my mom had some of that too. Yeah, like that was unbelievable. I think it was a game called Adventure, if that's what I remember right. So whenever I see something like this, I think of whenever I was growing up and like, again, King's Quest. Holy shit, that's a throwback. Adventure on Atari? Maybe. It's hard for me to say. Like, we used to have an Atari. My mom had an Atari, and I played it. It was mainly my cousin Mike that would play it a lot more than me. But basically, like, he's about, like, 10 years older than me, give or take. We've got some pictures, like, playing on the Atari back in the day, man. Like, those were the good days, man. I'll tell you one thing. Those were the fucking...
Interact with players around you, a wider variety of enemies, taking the steps.
It's like a lot of people don't really understand, like, you talk about like games from way back in the day. People don't really understand like how impactful and how meaningful it was. The fact that you could just like interact with somebody in real time that didn't live next to you. Like, it was just like such a shock that this was even a thing, right? You play with a dude and he's somewhere else in the world. It was huge. Like, now it's something you take for granted. Right, but it was just like that in itself was a value that you could even do that.
2D to 3D and truly beginning to create online worlds where players could fully immerse themselves into. Coming into the 2000s is where things really began to take off on a worldwide scale for the MMORPG, with the previously mentioned Lineage and Ragnarok Online taking the East by storm, while the West was gripped by
I'm gonna be honest, guys, whenever I saw these games the first time, I said, fuck that. These games look like absolute dog shit. There's a reason why I never played any of these early MMOs. It's because I thought they looked like trash. They played like trash. And there's a reason why I didn't do it. Okay? Like, they were awful. Absolutely awful. People remember it. They say, oh, this was a really cool game. This was a great game. But then you go back, it's like, man, dude, I remember the Ocarina of Time graphics were like, it was like real life. That's how good they were. And you come back and Epona is 5 triangles. It's like, wait a second, maybe I was just 9.
PvP-centric titles such as Dark Age of Camelot and Ultima Online 2. Show me any thread about when MMO PvP was the best, and there will be somebody regaling you with their tales of Dark Age of Camelot.
Yeah, that's S-Fan, by the way.
Jagex started a small game called RuneScape on a Flash browser, and
just a little game.
got a sequel. By this time, the steps made by the games of the early 2000s have been ramped up significantly. Better interfaces, more detailed graphics, advanced character creation, bigger worlds, with more to see and more to explore, and there was choice too. There was so much choice of what you could play at this point in time. And then in 2004, Blizzard Entertainment decided to move from RTS.
I'm telling y'all, like, WoW compared to, like, WoW in terms of, like, its graphics and innovation was, like, in my opinion, it was, like, the biggest jump that you could ever fucking make. It was, like, it played better. There were no loading screens. It had, like, better, like, lag than, like, many other games. Like, it was just head and shoulders over every other fucking game. And, like, the truth is that, like, there are very few games. I think back, what is another game that made that massive jump that it was just so definitive? Like, Smash Brothers Melee, Halo 1... Like, it's Final Fantasy X. Like, yeah, Final Fantasy 11, Final Fantasy X. Yeah, like, that's the thing is, like, what is a game that, like, real Half-Life 2, maybe. I'd say not Half-Life 1. Half-Life 2, I would say so. Oh, man. But, like, there's so few of them. There's so fucking few of them that you remember each and every single one of them, even if you didn't really play them that much. Is that Super Mario 64. Unironically, Super Mario 64 is a great example. Super Mario 64 was like head and shoulders over every other 3D game. Like, what do we have 3D games before Super Mario 64? Fucking Sonic CD? You had like a few little maps where you could move around. Like, you had a few like Sega Saturn, Sega Genesis shit. Not fucking really. Like, it was the N64 was huge. Like, people still play Super Mario 64. And like, WoW was like that game that just took MMO to the next level. Like, it took it from being like just this thing to being like the thing. Like, it was, people, I think a lot of young people especially don't really understand or respect how groundbreaking WoW was. It was unreal.
And have a go at this MMORPG thing that seems to be pretty popular.
Super
now, for
Mario
me, the
3
first
was another
MMO I ever
example.
played was RuneScape
It's
2.
huge.
When I first logged on that and saw that you could fish a shrimp and burn it, make my own bronze dagger from scratch and
I
shoot
actually
arrows at
did
the
this.
normally large rats, it blew my mind. I was running about in this world I knew nothing about as
Yeah.
my very own creation, with dozens of stats to master and a map that I had no idea where it ended. I thought, this is surely going to be the game for me forever. And then I saw that cinematic. That damn cinematic.
And
What was
like, bro, the thing is with like these cinematics is like, again, this cinematic was so far beyond anything that we had seen for a video game cinematic that like it just it felt like, you know, like whenever Lord of the Rings came out and like you thought after Lord of the Rings came out you could never watch another fantasy movie the same for like the next 5 or 10 years because like the graphics and the CGI, a lot of it wasn't CGI, but like just like the effects of Lord of the Rings was like so far above and beyond anything that was on the market at that time. Like, that's what Blizzard cinematics were. And what's so crazy still, yes, still, bro. But the thing is, like, you go back and you watch even a Warcraft 2 cinematic, and you see how rudimentary that is. It was the best. Like, you saw those boats sailing up. You said, oh shit, that shit looks real. Those are real boats. That's what 9-year-old, 8-year-old, 7-year-old Asmongold thought. That's real boats. It was a long time ago, but these, like, I'm telling you again, like, all I'm saying is, like, the WoW cinematic, like, Blizzard cinematics, like, I feel like Blizzard, like, you have to, like, there's, like, an apex or, like, a plateau where, like, there's a diminishing return of, like, how good a cinematic is. Where, like, now, Blizzard still has, like, I think the best cinematics, like, these type of cinematics. But, like, a lot of other companies have gotten to that level now. It's the same with, like, other levels of, like, CGI in, like, movies. Like, many other places have that same level. Like, Blizzard might be a little bit better, but, like, before, it was just night and day.
Pulled off in 2000.
But I mean, look at this
so
shit, bro.
far ahead of its time. It's
Yeah, true.
absolutely unreal. I literally
True.
could not believe what I was seeing.
True.
The only problem being is not only did you have to buy the game, you actually have to sub as well.
That's the only
How
thing
did
I
so
knew
many
about it.
teenagers worldwide convince
You had to
their
pay
parents to
monthly.
do this? I will never know. I know I certainly got my money's worth out of the level 20 trial, but the sheer success of WoW has cemented itself as a legend in gaming, and there was no shortage of attempts to recreate what Blizzard did back in 2004. Very few succeeded. You know what Blizzard has historically been good at doing? Taking something that's good and making it better.
Yeah, that's the thing. Blizzard never good at making their own ideas. They're never good at, like, thinking for themselves. It's like Blizzard saw Team Fortress 2. They said, okay, yoink, that's called Overwatch now. Blizzard saw League of Legends. They said, yoink, that's Heroes of the Storm now. Wasn't too good, but it is what it is. Warcraft, by the way, I think a lot of that was yoinked from Warhammer. And yeah, it's like they just yoinked that shit and they did it better. Like, that's the thing, is that Blizzard was never that good at coming up with their own ideas and their own paradigms. They were just good at seeing what somebody else did and be like, okay, well, we're better than them and we're just going to do that. They were good at analyzing why something is good and then making it even better. Magic the Gathering, yoink, that's Hearthstone now. Boom, there it is. What was Diablo copied from? Original Diablo 1. What was even before that? Yeah, I'm trying to even remember, like, Ultima? Like, I mean, that's the thing. Like Baldur's Gate, maybe Fate. I never played Fate. Gauntlet. They're probably like, yeah, it's like Gauntlet. Maybe it's like Gauntlet Legends at that time hadn't come out, so we're talking about like original Gauntlet. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't play a lot of those like really early on, you know, like dark dungeon crawler games because my mom, she didn't want to have me play fucking Diablo. I mean, it's literally got the devil on the front cover. I mean, like, how are you gonna buy? It's got the devil on the front cover. Of course, you're not gonna play that game. There's no shot you're gonna play that game. It's got the devil. He's right there. So I never got a chance to play.
More casual friendly. In 2004, World of Warcraft was a casual friendly MMO.
Oh,
in
yeah.
others, when you died,
Absolutely.
you would lose XP, levels. Sometimes you would have to go back to town and retrain your skills.
Yeah.
What happens in WoW is your screen goes grey and you have to run for 8 to 10 minutes because why the hell is there only one graveyard in Ungoro Crater?
That's about right.
What WoW got right has been a format that has stuck. An MMORPG template, if you will. Pick your race and class, do your quests, grind your levels. Lots of quests will be kill and collect. Different gear rarity dungeons. You've got some PvP. We have a little bit of PvE in there too. Micro menus with characters and stats, bag slots, and so on. The only real changes in other titles are how combat is handled, being action versus tab, player's point of view, top down or third person, and the long-term progression path of horizontal versus vertical.
Bro, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Like that boss fight, fucking whatever it's called, that boss fight, this is the least fun boss fight to do. Like, of all the New World boss fights, fighting this dude is the least fun fight ever. I hate this fucking fight. And if anybody has a key for it, I need to do it because I need to get the gypsum.
Haven't really moved on beyond this. They just look a lot prettier whilst you're doing your collect and kill quests with a bit of PvE and a bit of PvP. It's not to say that Blizzard innovated every single one of these gameplay characteristics, but they popularized it to the widest audience that's ever been seen. Of course, it's not hard to find internet rain dancers predicting the inevitable death and closure of the MMO giant. They have existed since the game has itself. Blizzard is also having a really good go at making people want to quit following allegations of overly
their best
employees. In both sense of the word. And it wasn't just the quick cash grab knockoffs either that fell over too easily. Games such as WildStar from Carbine and NCSoft, a game which was actively, and you bet they actively publicized it as being the labor of ex-vanilla.
See, like, that's the thing is, like, WildStar, WoW was good because it catered to casuals. But the problem is that those casuals, like, weren't the people that were talking, like, what's the best way for me to say it? It's like, did it cater to people that didn't realize that they were playing a casual game? Because, like, the truth is, like, if you were playing WoW and you thought this was a hardcore game, you didn't fucking play Ultima Online. You didn't play EverQuest if you thought this was hardcore. So if you even use vanilla WoW as a benchmark for hardcore, you're already fucking on cloud 9. You're already on the moon, man. That's not reality. Because these games were way fucking harder. And it was a completely different fucking thing. And the reason why WoW was so successful is because it catered to casual players. And I would even go as far to say that the problems that the game has now are because it doesn't cater to casual players. And before you say, oh, but what about LFR? Think about how much time and effort you have to put into getting your character ready for PvP now at level 60 in Shadowlands versus back in Cataclysm or Mists of Pandaria. It is the difference between 20 hours and 120 hours. So compare leveling though? True. But leveling was the game back then. You understand? Like, it's a weird thing because it was a different paradigm that people had. Leveling was the game. Whereas, like, before, leveling was not really, like, leveling now is not the game. Leveling is a means to an end. There are people that, like whenever I would play WoW back in vanilla, I'm talking about 2006, whenever I asked somebody, like, oh, you play WoW too, I would ask them what level they are. You see what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't ask them what server they're on. I would ask them what level they are. Because, like, that's the way you used to play the game. It was a completely different paradigm. You actually went and did quests in the world. You did a lot of stuff. It was way different. You're blowing my mind. I mean, I'm telling you, man, it was a different universe.
The devs, they were going to take us back to the hardcore raiding era, and they had a tagline, "You aren't on Azeroth anymore. Free to play after 1 year, closed a few later." But hold on.
Yeah, because it was developed. It was developed to be antithetical to WoW. Almost any anti-community or any anti-game never works because it doesn't have its own identity. Things that are the antithesis of something else are in many ways just as derivative as a phone game that clearly has Illidan as one of the heroes. Because either way, it's derivative. It's either the opposite or the same, but both are derivative.
Final Fantasy XIV, that's the big deal nowadays, right? Ever since Blizzard has unloaded several magazines into their own foot, they have gradually risen to the top of the MMO market, first running out of digital copies to sell to the colossal influx of players. Notably, this wasn't even during a fresh expansion, it was just the sheer number of people who wanted to give something new a serious look, as well as the power of big streamers and media, giving that stream a very strong current. And more recently, with the launch of Endwalker, Square Enix have taken the somewhat predictable step of halting sales to aid the vastly overpopulated servers. Suffering from this much success as a matured, long-standing MMO is absolutely unheard of. And time and again when something like this happens or a new MMO releases, we once again...
I think that also like a little bit of context behind this is that it was not just because Endwalker was good and people were excited about it. It's also because of the semiconductor shortage where they were not able to secure enough server space, and that's another big factor, right? So it's not just that Final Fantasy, had a lot of people playing it. It was also the other shit too.
Have the phrase WoW killer being popularized and thrown about. In fact, when brought up in an interview, Yoshi P didn't like the idea of Final Fantasy XIV being alluded to as the WoW killer, saying both, WoW was the game we consistently looked up to. Our goal was to recreate a Final Fantasy version of WoW. The saying we won or lost to WoW is off.
And it's obvious that they did that. It's obvious that they did that. If you look at, like, especially, like, tank stance back in the day was effectively defensive stance. And, like, a lot of the, I think, like, frictional aspects of, like, WoW that were just fucking annoying were actually in Final Fantasy. Yeah, they were actually in Final Fantasy, and they got taken out, my understanding is, primarily in Heavensward and then more so in Stormblood. Whenever they realize that, like, well, these are just like vestigial systems that we really don't need anymore.
To start with, because they were the game we aspired to be. He also rebutted the idea that they are now the best, saying, if I was that type of guy, we'd miss our footing on the way and 14 wouldn't be loved by so many people. The man's a class act. And for Final Fantasy XIV's success, it is a very recognizable MMORPG format. When I gave it a go, I found it very intuitive. Your tab combat, cast your spells, you get quests.
I think also another thing is, like, if you play World of Warcraft, you can transition over to Final Fantasy easy. Like, it is an easy transition. Like, you change a handful of settings to make them a little bit the same as WoW, and you can just go and play that game. And, like, you compare that to Lost Ark. Lost Ark is a completely different paradigm, right? You have a fixed camera. You have, movement that's very defined. Like, it's not the same. Not the other way around, though. No, I think it is. Like, if you play Final Fantasy, you go over, you play WoW, it's basically the same fucking thing. Like, I actually think that it's about the same. Like, and I'm not talking about, like, oh, yeah, but what about weak auras? Like, yeah, of course that's different. But, like, Final Fantasy has, like, fine-tuning as well. Like, I mean, just for an average person.
If anything is significantly different, it's the volume of RPG or story which is absolutely unloaded upon you, though it does make the transition from one popular MMO over to another that bit easier, which I'm sure is a benefit. And at this point in time, Final Fantasy XIV has totally exceeded expectations of creating their WoW. I think we can say that. But much like WoW in its current format, I think the building blocks are going to keep piling up on top of each other rather than us experiencing a totally new project, something fresh, something feels a bit next gen. Sometimes a game just defines a genre. It puts the building blocks there that will be the foundations of many to come, even to the point of the genre being named.
It's like Modern Warfare 2 was like that. Halo 1 was like that. You know, this is like kind of what we talked about before. Mario 64 was like that. There were a lot of games that, like, as soon as this game comes out, GTA, like, that was it, right? Unreal Tournament was huge. I feel like that game kind of fell off.
After the game that did so, roguelikes are so called because of the game Rogue from the 1980s. Metroidvania games are a combination of elements found in Metroid
That's a really good point,
Castlevania series. And if it's dark, gritty, and difficult, hey, we've got ourselves a Souls-like. While we don't call MMORPGs WoW-likes, thankfully,
I never even thought
have
of that.
certainly tried to be and have stuck loosely to the format that had driven World of Warcraft's incredible success between 2004 and 10. Though very few have reached that peak, many have enjoyed enough success to sustain a stable game that has been enjoyed by many worldwide. So where do we go from here? What would be the next step? We went from imagination to pen and paper to multi-user dungeons to 2D sprites and basic animations. Then we went 3D, more choices, better UIs.
Bro, I'm gonna be honest, I tell you where we going from here is gonna be VR, dude. I saw this one fucking clip. I think it was Soda Poppin'. I was watching Soda Poppin', and he was watching these two cat girls get it on at a VR club, and then Lakari comes in, and I was kind of getting turned on. And then Lakari comes in and just fucking, like, I was not turned on anymore. Because, like, Lakari came in and honestly, he fucking ruined it for me. I was so mad at him. But before then, shut the fuck up, bitch. Like, I'm talking about, this is a real thing. And so, it's like, yeah, he came in there, fucking ruined it. And, like, there were these two cat girls that were getting it on with each other. And Rob wants you on the dating show. I know I've got to get back to him. But anyway, like, I think the next big step, I think that, like, maybe a game like Ashes of Creation has the potential to do that. But the next paradigm shift, I think, will happen in VR. I think it has to, because that's the next level of escapism.
More open worlds, then we improved on that format tenfold. MMORPGs look incredible these days, but that sense of the past, the thing that's kind of deep-rooted that's holding them back, has always existed, such as collect, kill, and quest. It's not that they should be removed, but iterated on somewhat. Something new and truly amazing. It would be a game that you could see going for years and staying strong. Being able to answer the interests of a variety of activities in the game, having a world which is not static but unpredictable and constantly changing, your actions having real consequences to both you and others, to have a world which feels as though it's actually a breathing entity, where your character will be thrown or sidetracked into a number of different activities each day, without you having any clue what they'll be when you log in.
I actually saw, I think that really what an MMO, like Willie's talking about some shit. I think he's talking about real shit, like, number one. But number two, small counterpoint, is that I think an MMO, the only thing the game really fucking needs is for the game, for people to feel good about logging on. The fact that, like, people can have an experience logging on, like a social experience. Like, Final Fantasy, I think, is just, it's the leader in MMOs. Like, I'm not, like, WoW does a lot of things better than Final Fantasy, I'm gonna be honest. But shared space and experience and social environment, Final Fantasy is so fucking far and above WoW that it makes me go back to Goldshire Inn and want to say, have you heard about, you know, Final Fantasy, the award-winning game? Because I feel bad for these people posting up with MyRP3 links to fucking, you know, some picture of a Draenei female with like a 17-inch dick. It's like, man, you could have a character that looks like that in Final Fantasy. You don't need to pretend anymore. You can go over there and play it yourself. You see what I like? It's just, it's so far and above. There's nothing that even comes close. And I think that's why Final Fantasy is so successful with like casual players, especially, is that it gives people that that experience. The Void Bunnies, you know?
It's not a small ask, but when was the last game where you would log in the morning and then suddenly it's dark? There is currently one project that falls somewhere into this category, but it's a long, long way off, and of course that's Ashes of Creation. The fact that they are self-funded and published gives a lot of hope, and with their
It's funny to me that like Willie and I should probably get Willie on Allcraft one day, or just like maybe bring him on stream and talk. Like he and I are on the same wavelength with this kind of shit. Like I say something, then he says it right after that. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. It could be that. Pantheon 2, I'm gonna be honest with you. Pantheon sucks. The sad reality with Pantheon, and I really do mean sad reality, is that they lost their visionary of the game. There was a guy who was the visionary for the game. What was his name? EverQuest legendary developer. Guy died. Brad McQuaid. Yeah, Brad McQuaid was like he was the Steven, right, where the Ash of the Creation, Steven. He was the guy that was heading Pantheon creatively, and he fucking died. Like, that's so sad, right, to lose somebody. Like, it fucking sucks. Died not finishing his game. He did finish his game. He has a legacy in EverQuest, and nobody can ever take that away from him. So don't feel bad about it, right? But at the same time, I don't really see Pantheon going anywhere.
Transparency and depth of in-game systems, even at this early stage, it shows a lot of promise, and I think it will, very importantly, take a self-funded project to truly pull off something next gen. No big studio appears to be taking that risk, or if they are, they just aren't able to follow through on it enough. And this whole video isn't to say the entire MMORPG market is in an absolute state at the moment. In fact, I think it's been a while since there's been this many different MMOs which are worth your attention. If anything, WoW falling down somewhat has led players to discover that actually there are some alternatives out there, but nothing that I think will truly break the mold.
No. Final Fantasy has innovation in terms of like shared spaces and player housing and social environments. I think that it has genuine innovation that is meaningful. But like other than that, Final Fantasy is just it's like Halo 3. Like Halo 2 for its time was, in my opinion, way more innovative than Halo 3. But Halo 3 was a way better fucking game because it took everything that Halo 2 did and it did it better. Like, that's what happened. Halo 3 is ago. Like, if I went back and I wanted to play a Halo game, I would play Halo 3. Well, I play Infinite now, but like, I would play Halo 3. But like, Halo 2 for its time was infinitely more groundbreaking than Halo 3.
It's not the genre isn't going anywhere. Nobody's really tried yet.
No.
Do let me know your thoughts down below, and as always, thank you all so much.
And that's what's so exciting about now, is that now you see a lot of people who are trying to get into the MMO space. You see like Riot is trying to get into the MMO space. You see Ashes of Creation. You see New World. And like, I remember I even saw like what really is a metaverse. A metaverse is basically an MMO where everything's expensive. I actually saw a clip of an event that happened on the metaverse, and I wanted to go back to playing King's Quest. That's how bad it was. Oh my god. Oh my god, what a disaster. But it's coming, man.
Watching and listening in, and I shall see you on the next one.
Willie makes great videos. He's a classic WoW player. He's a good guy. I like him. So if you guys want to give him a follow, give him a sub, give him some support, that's his channel right there. And you guys can keep up with him. But yeah, I'll read a few I want to read a few comments about this. Best experience you ever had in MMOs whenever you know nothing about them and every single thing is a discovery. True, man. I wish I was 15 again too. I think the real charm for WoW was its simplicity. I think that it was a lot of things. WoW was it was a perfect storm for WoW, definitely. I think at the moment, general gaming is falling prey to much of the rest of the world. Corporate interests are superseding innovation and art. Apparently, this guy watches superhero movies. Holy fuck. Like, apparently I've heard that the new Spider-Man movie is actually Liddy on a stack, and I might actually watch it. Okay? But let's not confuse ourselves here. Man, like, I would love to see a little bit more innovation in movies. I feel like I watch the same movie like every 5 years or so. Like, it's like the same thing comes out. It's like the same thing again. Like, what? Like, come on, man. Like, let's get some new shit out there. Like, it's like, oh, well, this is how do you make a movie now? Well, you take an old movie and you play on people's nostalgia for it, and then you make the new movie. Plenty of good movies out there. Yeah, and the thing is, like, I actually haven't watched a lot of movies recently. I mean, like, I have and I haven't, right? I feel like a lot of you guys, I stopped watching movies in about 2010, like, all the time. Like, before then, I had a huge, like, a thing of DVDs. Yeah, same. And I think that I know why. I really think that I know why. It's because Blockbuster went out of business. And you would go to Blockbuster, and you would go to the clearance aisle, and you would fucking buy the DVDs for $10. That's why. That's why, because it was right there. Movies started sucking and TV got better. And that's, like, again, kind of what I was talking about before, about how making developments and innovation with, like, CGI, and how CGI is more accessible. I think that's one of the reasons why TV shows got better. Now, obviously, does that explain Breaking Bad? No. But it does explain something like Game of Thrones. I hope new good MMO comes out. I don't want anything radically different, just a completely new package. I think it depends. Problem with MMO innovating is it costs so much to make, and to innovate is to take a risk. I mean, like, we're going to see a little bit of innovation in a couple of days, ain't that right? With Mortal Online 2. Mortal Online 2 is going to be coming out sometime, like, in the next few days. It's like a full loot PvP MMO. It's a small audience, but it's important that innovation happens. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a niche game, but that's not bad. Yeah, like, I'm not saying y'all should play it or whatever. I'm just saying that it is impactful. That's it. Alright, let me see here. Was Warlords of Draenor really bad? Really that bad of an expansion? Am I gonna get mad watching this video? Like, am I gonna get angry watching this video? Because I think that there's a pretty big possibility that could happen. Alright, here we go.
Warlords of Draenor, one of WoW's most infamous expansions. Whenever something bad happens in World of Warcraft, generally they'll use Warlords of Draenor as a measuring stick.
Yes.
To say, sure, this new feature is kind of...
It's the brown standard. Instead of the gold standard, Warlords of Draenor is the brown standard. If it's shittier than WoD, then that's really bad.
Bad, but it's not as bad as this thing from Warlords of Draenor. And to an extent, it deserves some of that criticism.
Yes.
Blizzard themselves even apologized for the expansion.
They should have.
But was it really that bad?
Yes!
When Warlords of Draenor first launched, you might be surprised to hear that it set records for returning players. There was almost nothing but positivity about the expansion online. Once people were able to play the game anyway. Although rocky launches aren't exclusive to Warlords of Draenor. So why...
Every game has bad launches now. Like, there's almost never a game that comes out that doesn't have a completely scuffed launch. So I'm not worried about that at all.
Why were people so jazzed about the expansion at first?
Look, I'll win.
Let's dissect the questing real quick. WoD had this system called Draenor perks, where when you were leveling up, every 2 levels or so, they would just give you a boost to one of your main damage dealing abilities.
That was so
or
cool.
Or just something that you use all the time.
For
Shadow Priests, they would get a perk that allowed their Mind Flay to channel 33% faster, which is just straight up a damage boost to one of their main filler spells. They also received a feature which enhanced shadow orbs.
Warriors got the
actually
whirlwind
a
thing
pretty
too. It was fucking
big
awesome.
deal for DPS back then.
Yep.
Because it meant it was much harder for them to cap their main resource.
I thought this
they
was
were also
really
given the
cool.
ability to generate that resource with another skill and allowed to use their main defensive cooldown more often.
Yeah.
MM Hunters received a base bonus to their focus by...
Dude, these were so cool whenever you leveled up and you actually felt that like you got this new bonus. The perks were great. I was disappointed whenever we lost a few of them.
20. Survival Hunters got a straight up 1 second increase to their explosive shot, which is huge for their main damage dealing ability at the time. Mages got a speed boost after using Blink. Arcane Mages got a buff to the Arcane Blast, which allowed them to cast it faster every time they gained a stat.
Nobody plays
Basically, every class and spec received huge boosts to their damage or utility while leveling up.
That's awesome.
And got to keep these boosts for the entire expansion.
It
was one of the last expansions where your character actually felt stronger as they leveled up, rather than getting weaker.
I feel like in Legion, you felt a lot stronger whenever you leveled up. But you're right. After Legion, in BFA, I felt weaker. And in Shadowlands, I felt weaker because you lost like the Heart of Azeroth and you lost your Azerite traits and stuff. So yeah, I would say that Legion was the last expansion where you actually felt stronger.
Zones themselves also contributed to this.
Yeah.
Every single zone in Warlords of Draenor had the very specific zone perk. And when you started off in Frostfire Ridge or Shadowwind Valley, you would get a specific ability that only worked inside the zone in the open world.
That was really
cool. The default one you got allowed you to basically summon a small army to help you fight something.
Yep.
When you moved over to Gorgon, they would let you choose between two abilities. One of them allowed you to summon a mech suit that was actually very effective at mowing down ads. And even gave you the niche ability to fly for a short amount of time.
Yep.
It was a huge legitimate DPS increase to be able to use the Mech Shredder 5000. But
I would use the Mech Strider to solo the elites. I remember I had like a whole strategy on how I would do it whenever I was leveling up characters. It was so good.
Only available to this one zone.
Yeah.
You also had access to the Champion's Honor, which would summon a champion to help fight for you, and then give you a buff after he went away in a minute.
Fuck that.
Which would be stronger based on how many enemies you killed while the ad was out.
Dumb.
In the Spires of Iraq, you had the option between picking an extra Hearthstone with a reduced cooldown that also increased your experience gain by 20%, or a rare NPC vendor who you could...
There's like literally no... Like anybody who didn't go for the experience boost was just a moron. Like, I'm sorry, but there were some of the options, and like one of them was like 1,000 times better than the other one.
Summon every 10 minutes.
The rare goods vendor, he sold like one rare toy, and so you had to have an alt that did it, so you could get the toy, and that was it.
Which would sell you a whole bunch of buff items that would directly increase your damage. Almost everyone picked the Hearthstone because of the increased XP.
Exactly.
But both of them were great options to pick.
In the grand, you could,
and the extra Hearthstone combined with the
mounted
extra
while fighting.
XP made Aspires of Iraq one of the fastest leveling zones.
Yeah.
In Talador, you had the option between two different DPS cooldowns. One of them would summon a Guardian Orb that would come out to electrocute enemies, and the other one was 3 charge Artillery Strike, which was off cooldown enough where it was basically part of your rotation by the end of the zone. In the Grand, you have the option to pick either a siege engine you can summon once every 10 minutes,
That was
just
really
like the
cool.
mech suit from Gorgon, or you could pick a mount that you could ride in combat.
Yeah,
One
you
of them
could
is a
ride
temporary...
and fight mobs in combat on the mount. Like that, dude. WAD level, dude, WAD, I mean, honestly, man, like, WAD leveling was fucking amazing. I really do think WAD... For all the faults that it had, the leveling in Warlords of Draenor was, in my opinion, probably the best level.
I bring it up in those terms not to throw a dig at this team. This team's so awesome.
Absolutely.
But it is just the sorry state of affairs that people who like these franchises, who like these IPs, have got to go to such lengths. Literally selling copies of this piece of shit Warcraft 3 Reforged. So that, because they're fixing it and making it good. Like, what an absolutely bonkers situation that we're in. It is utterly damning on Blizzard Entertainment and how Blizzard managed this project. But for those of us who absolutely love Warcraft 3, which, I mean, that's you and me,
absolutely,
this is incredible news from an incredible team of dedicated fans who are doing something really incredible, which is Warcraft Reforged, in this case, the Scourge of Lordaeron. And there's another project, too, that is basically doing Warcraft 2.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Within Warcraft 3 Reforged. I got beta access to that, and I said, hey guys, I'll make a video on it. I never got around to it. Sorry, I really want to dive into both of your projects a lot. So Warcraft 3 Reforged. Well, Blizzard, at the time it all went south, and now it's their intention to fix the game and bring a lot of the content that inexplicably removed despite their own marketing promises, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? The whole thing fell over and was dead. The last patch and official announcement was April 2021, and they've basically just pieced out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Maybe, given that they cared about Age of Empires and made it right, maybe Microsoft will take a second look at this. Who knows? But I mean, even like Warcraft 3, like that is up there with Age of Empires. That is no small brand. But we have got to be very thankful for the modding community. As fans once again have risen up. So currently live in Hive Workshop, Warcraft 3 Reforged is a mod which, according to the game's single developer, actually I forgot that bit.
Yep, insane.
That's mad.
Yeah, Insane Monsters is a very fitting name.
So what's Mr. Insane Monster done? Well, actually remastered in-game cinematics with angles, interface, and style matching closely what was there at BlizzCon 2018. Reimagined maps and missions with beautiful, easy-to-navigate terrain, modernized gameplay, redesigned quests, and more meaningful events, often influencing following maps in an interesting way. Yeah, that's beyond what you would have expected from Warcraft 3 Reforged, even if it went well. That latter bit, tying the maps together, like that's one of the things maybe if you really like StarCraft, you'd kind of like, the sort of RPG layer they put atop the RTS. I'm not saying he's doing that, but that's neat. That's neat. Detailed and expanded lore, fleshed out characters, old and new, meaningful interactions, and many references from World of Warcraft.
Which is exactly what they had promised initially and then quietly unpromised.
Yeah. Rebalanced difficulty levels to make the experience tailored and gameplay engaging to each player, with completely new AI scripts designed to give opponents a distinguishable personality. Also, multi-language support, including some voice acting for additional dialogues, and all graphics mods are compatible. Also, new lore-accurate secrets, and much, much more, only waiting for you to play. Right now, 2 episodes are live. Exodus of the Horde, which is the prologue campaign for them, and Scourge of Lordaeron Act 1.
Yeah, which is just up until, I think it's up until the culling of Stratum.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the culling's included, but if it is, that'll be very interesting to actually see. It's just...
So I'm just going to play some of this here, for people to get, because it is... Like, obviously this is an RTS, with RTS models doing the acting.
Yeah.
But you take that, and then kind of think, well, shit, they've actually... He's pushed it just like how Blizzard did.
Yeah,
He's actually really done a great job.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, this isn't like some heavy mod. This is actually all custom campaigns. So if you have Warcraft 3 Reforged, you just get the campaign and play it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's all possible within engine with the tools that they actually created back in the day, because I know they upgraded some of the world editor stuff for Reforged, but to what I understand, not substantially. So it's all just, this is all what was possible, and this dude's doing it instead.
Yeah, you can just open up the editor and make Warcraft 3 in Warcraft 3. You can just do your own version, and he's done that, and this is just incredible. And I think, too, the reimagined maps and missions, that's where I'd be fascinated, because there's a lot of games that, you know, they do show their age a little bit. And if you were to compare War 3 to, say, StarCraft 2, you know, you can definitely see that there had been an advancement. So I'm fascinated to see how these play. And just, I mean, look at this level of quality. This is so much above what Blizzard was able to do. And what is such a mind blow is just, you know, free from the budgetary issues, free from the project management and the bosses and the layers and the layers and the layers, and of course also then, you know, free from actually having to engineer the damn thing.
Yeah.
This person's been able to do this. And I think that just shows how screwed this project was. From what I understand, they basically did a bit of a vertical slice. They re-recorded loads of dialogue. They seem to have scoped out a large project, but then maybe midway through production, something like that, all the scope changes. And it's odd. It's as if they did most of the work at a fundamental level to set themselves up, but just that last bit where the game itself really comes into fruition, it all fell over, and they just had to, you know, shit out what they did.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there was also the Scourge of Lordaeron. Once more, a very, very iconic campaign. And, I mean, man, just... this feels so much more premium than what Blizzard did.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is most interesting about this is that I haven't gotten to play it yet, but I'm so interested in, well, two specific parts. I'm not a very, very good RTS player, but, like, the difficulty is tuned up a little bit, but there are options available. So, like, hard is way harder than RTS, like, the original game's hard. But also, it seems like the actual redesign and the reimagining of the maps and the missions goes so far beyond what, especially the early campaign missions for these games are. Because obviously, if you've done, like, the Exodus of the Horde is always just pure, like,
predictably so much worse, and they all look like Raid Shadow Legends characters. So the one criticism that I do have of War 3 Reforged is basically just art direction. I do feel that the original chunkiness has been lost. It doesn't feel mega Warcraft 3 to me, even though it's the sights and the sounds and the characters. There's just, and I remember we talked about this back when it happened. So that bit obviously cannot be overcame, and that's totally on Blizzard, and maybe is just a symptom of how scuffed of a project that it actually was. But like, here you're playing something effectively new. It's a new gameplay experience, and in terms of the level of fun, like, if these missions are being updated, so it's this simultaneous thing of it's more accessible and more playable, but also harder.
Yeah,
that obviously I think is going to equal more fun. So this is incredible, and right now these two packs are there. They have 10 in-game chapters, 5 Horde, 5 Human. Now, certainly, it would be a monumental amount of work to do all of War 3 and Frozen Throne. Who knows what what the full intent here is?
Yeah. Well, Insane Monster actually says.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see what it's like. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. That's cool. Wow.
3 rings for the Elven Kings. Under the sky. 7 for the Dwarf Lords. In their halls of stone. 9 for mortal men, doomed to die. 1 for the Dark Lord, on his dark throne. In the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie.
So, number one, it doesn't really tell you anything. You have no idea what's going on. I don't know why it's not Galadriel's voice. No, it's not. It's just some random person. I hope this is good. But as I've said before, with this Lord of the Rings series, I don't think it's going to be good. I think that they're trying to make Game of Thrones in Middle-earth. I don't think it's going to be good. It's not about even get woke, go broke. Like, if they have a Black Hobbit, I'm not going to be like, oh man, I hate the show now. Like, that's not the reason why I would be mad about it. I would be mad about the thing. I'd be mad about the show if it sucks. Like, if the show that it was kind of fucking like
I'm pretty wisdomous when it comes to the inner workings of the computer. Okay, you've got your RAM, which stands for really accurate module, because whenever your computer does stuff, it needs to be really accurate. If it's not really accurate, then it's going to be not very accurate, and no one wants a not very accurate machine. So you've random access memory. Why would you why would you access something randomly? Okay, you're not even going to know what you advertise, what you access. Why on earth would random access memory be a thing that you'd want? Okay, you wouldn't know what you're accessing. Random access. Computers don't do anything randomly. Okay, computers are extremely smart. Computers are basically a rock that we tricked into thinking by, blasting it with the electricity. That's what it was. Can you explain how flat...
Man, they're staying out first, right?
Yeah, we were waiting for M to get through it. Say when you're good, M.
Here it is, baby.
3, 2,
This is it.
Hold on.
No way.
It's on amp now.
Threat is dog shit melee. Be careful.
It was really bad. Again, we're in full fire res here. This is submerge. Banish the suns. Banish the suns. Banish that. Banish that. Masuvi. Good.
Blizzarding?
Blizzards. Need blizzards. Stop spamming, Riley.
Yeah, blizzard are down.
Motherfucker, dude. I don't know what the fuck happened.
Okay, good, good, good.
I think I was out of air for a minute.
Max rank blizzarding?
Bring these back through the blizzard, guys. Back through the blizzard. Calyx taunt and shield wall. Calyx shield wall.
Don't forget the marbles.
It's immune.
You have a stun?
Coming for
You
it.
get a banish on the north side.
In melee. Send it.
Yes,
Wreck warriors.
Victor1 just subscribed.
Target dummies. Target dummy.
Let's fucking go!
Not over. Not over.
Not over. We got tons. We got tons.
We have time.
Got two suns over there.
I'm very I can't.
Holy shit.
Pop my carry yo.
Oh my god, that's
Subscribe.
Ragnaros is dead.
Yo, we did it. Oh, 2 deaths, man.
Let's do crazy suns. Suns, yep, suns.
Rag. We got out.
Guys, I'm coming.
Let's fucking go.
They're taking pictures.
Do we get a title?
There's no title.
You're
Survivor of the Fire Lord. There it is.
Title, dude.
Oh, we got Survivor of the Fire Lord. Fuck.
There it is at the corner, man.
Did you get it as well, Joga?
Fuck you, man. There's a weak ore for that, I think.
Yeah, if you
Fucking hell.
yeah, that's cool actually. If
I
you
love
have
that, dude.
buff,
That was
it's
great.
Survivor
guys.
of the Fire Lord. It's fine. I have Cold Manager, dude. She's
I love you all.
level 54.
Hey, that's only 2 deaths,
I'll
Blizzard.
kill
If
Rag
that's
on
not
her as well,
reason enough
guys.
for
It's all
hardcore
good.
server. We pre-biz farmed, we fucking killed Rag. 2
I
deaths.
have the buff, guys. Let's just pretend I have it.
Amp carried.
Do you think anyone else is gonna ever do this again, guys? Who is stupid enough to do this? Who's stupid enough to do this? No one.
Very good.
Good job, guys. Good fucking job, guys. Good job.
Chat, I'm gonna do a promise to you today. Alright? If we somehow go 10 out of 10 with no one dying, I will personally commit in-game suicide with my character. Alright, so you guys at least see one death today. Alright, so you will at least see one character die. If no one dies in the raid somehow, which I really doubt it.
Safe travels.
On this zone, the search for a suspect and how Canada is responding. Treacherous conditions. An Arctic blast plunges the eastern U.S. into a dangerous deep freeze. Investigating the Tonga eruption. What scientists are learning about the volcanic powerhouse in the South Pacific.
Have you seen the girl?
And leaving her stand in Mexico involving Canadians. 3 people were shot at a popular resort. It happened yesterday at Hotel Xcaret, just south of Playa del Carmen, a tourist area along Mexico's Caribbean coast. Mexican authorities say 2 men were killed and a woman is recovering in hospital. They also allege that the gunman in the brazen attack is a Canadian. He remains at large. Michael Couture has more on the deadly shooting and a warning, this story may be disturbing to some viewers.
Webcam images capture what was nearly a picture-perfect day at the Mexican resort. 5 bangs believed to be gunshots ring out. This video appears to show the scene afterwards with 3 bodies laying on the floor in an eating area.
Definitely a shock that it happened in a resort.
Canadian travel advisor Lori Gold lives 10 minutes from the resort, and while she was surprised, she doesn't feel less safe.
You know, people have to realize that life is still life, even in paradise, but typically it does not affect tourists at all. It is not anywhere near tourism. It is really super targeted.
Local police claim the shooting was linked to organized crime. Reports say 2 men are dead, while 1 woman is in hospital. All 3 are believed to be Canadian. The gunman seen in this photo released by the local Secretary of Public Security is still on the loose. Global Affairs Canada won't confirm the identities of the 3 Canadians, but did say consular officials are working with local authorities and are providing consular assistance. While locals seem to feel safe, there has been a spate of shootings in recent months that are getting a lot of attention because they were in tourist areas or involved tourists. In October, an American and German were killed after getting caught in the apparent crossfire of rival drug dealers. A month later, at least 10 gunmen stormed the beach of a luxury hotel near Cancun.
In the past, you have 4-5 major criminal organizations. Now, because of different factors, you have 45, 50 different criminal groups fighting for the territory.
The Mexican government is trying to address the crimes while protecting the lucrative tourist industry, according to Walter McKay, an expert in policing and security in Mexico.
The tourist police, they call them, who are trained in English and other popular language such as German, so they can deal with tourists who need assistance. Because they have a vested interest to protect this billion-dollar-plus economy.
An economy that could take a hit after an apparent organized crime hit at a resort. Mike LeCouture, Global News, Ottawa.
To the situation in Ukraine, the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv has reportedly requested the evacuation of all non-essential staff as fears mount of an imminent Russian invasion. The first shipment of a $200 million arms delivery promised by President Joe Biden arrived in Kyiv overnight. The U.S. Embassy says the shipment demonstrates its firm commitment to Ukraine's sovereign right to self-defense. Russia has amassed tens of thousands of troops along its borders with Ukraine, even as Moscow denies it has any plans to invade. And Russia continues to flex its military muscles, stepping up drills in Belarus. Moscow says fighter jets have begun relocating for military exercises to be held near its border with NATO members Poland and Lithuania and close to Ukraine. Russia's defense ministry says 2 battalions carrying anti-aircraft missile systems are also moving to western Belarus. Now to the pandemic, and there are early indications the Omicron wave may have reached its peak nationally. Over the last week, confirmed case rates have dropped, and sewage surveillance is also showing positive signs. Wastewater testing is an alternate method for tracking COVID-19. It's being championed for providing important information on outbreaks. But as Ross Lord explains, not all public health authorities are sold on its merits.
Researchers are not surprised wastewater testing is emerging as a go-to method for finding COVID-19. Developers of Alberta's system say it detects COVID-19 up to a week before positive cases are confirmed clinically, making it a valuable tool in pandemic response.
For example, the reinstatement of masking in Calgary, that decision was informed in part by wastewater testing, and that really shows that wastewater testing can be part of the evidence base that policymakers use to make these critical decisions in how we navigate the pandemic.
Not surprising when you consider the virus survives a long time in the gastrointestinal tract, and samples are contributed unknowingly by everyone when they go to the bathroom.
I think what we've seen in Alberta is that this technology really works. We had to iron out some kinks like other teams across Canada and around the world.
It seems smoothing out some kinks is ongoing. A team that developed a wastewater testing system at Dalhousie University raised eyebrows by claiming it found the Omicron variant in Halifax in mid-November, weeks before it was publicly reported in Nova Scotia, even before it was reported by South Africa. But Nova Scotia's top doctor was not convinced.
We've actually had conversations with the researchers, and what it turned out, they were detecting the Alpha variant. They actually weren't detecting Omicron. So it's still a research tool that has yet to be validated in many ways.
Dalhousie University says the school stands by their team's finding. A statement from the Nova Scotia government says a different sample suggests the presence of Omicron, but the finding has not been confirmed. As those test results are tested, Calgary researchers are flushed with success. Their findings are posted online as real-time data showing concentrations of COVID in various parts of the city. With wastewater testing methods evolving, researchers hope it helps Canada detect more threats to public health in future, COVID-19 or others. Ross Lord, Global News, Halifax.
If you are planning to head to the U.S., remember there are new rules in effect. As of today, all foreign travelers, including Canadians who are entering the U.S. at land borders, ferry terminals, or airports, must show proof they are fully vaccinated. Non-U.S. citizens must also declare whether their trip is for essential or non-essential reasons. Well, the eastern U.S. is being slammed by winter storms, frigid temperatures, snow, and ice hitting the region from north to south, freezing power lines, roads, and runways, and prompting warnings to drivers as far south as Texas and Louisiana to stay off the roads. Jennifer Johnson reports.
Snow and ice sent a Delta Airlines plane skidding off the runway at Raleigh-Durham International Airport Friday night as severe winter weather hit the Carolinas and a section of the eastern U.S. No one was hurt in that incident, but 2 medics were injured after icy roads sent this ambulance careening off a North Carolina highway. South of the Outer Banks, thousands have been left without power. The National Weather Service issued an ice storm warning for the Moorhead, North Carolina region for the first time in history.
We're concerned about maybe some families who can't stay warm, and we need people to check on their friends and neighbors.
Half the country has been hit by this January Arctic blast. Temperatures 20 degrees below normal on average.
I got my boots, I got my clothes, my hat, scarf, everything.
Wind chills hit minus 31 degrees in Minneapolis.
Hello.
Brownsville, Texas recorded its 5th winter storm warning ever. Warming stations were set up for people in San Antonio. State officials throughout the South have been begging motorists to stay off the roads as they work to keep them treated with salt.
We're going to try to find any ice and take care of it. We're going to mark it as soon as we can, but you might be the motorist who discovers it first.
The big freeze seemed to freeze over ponds and lakes, but firefighters warned that can be deceiving. In New York, 3 children had to be rescued after going through the ice on a pond.
Quarters, we do have people in the water.
And in New Jersey, a policeman's body camera was rolling as a skater went through the ice.
We got more people in.
Firefighters say when it's this cold, it's hard to imagine the ice isn't frozen solid.
You don't know the thickness of the ice. Do not go on the ice.
The bone-chilling temperatures have millions of Americans bundled up, slipping and sliding, and forecasters warn the deep freeze will stick around through the end of the month. Jennifer Johnson, Global News, Washington.
On the West Coast, winds whipping more than 100 kilometers an hour are fueling a wildfire in Northern California, forcing evacuations near Big Sur. The Colorado Canyon fire has grown to more than 600 hectares and is only 5% contained. Flames spread quickly last night after months of drought conditions, and residents were told to pack up and leave by 11 p.m. No injuries have been reported. The cause of that fire is under investigation. Coming up, Havana Syndrome, how the CIA's search for answers has only deepened the mystery. New details tonight about the mysterious illness that's plagued hundreds of U.S. and Canadian diplomats. Havana Syndrome first emerged in Cuba in 2016. It was initially feared a foreign power may have been launching sonic attacks against embassy staff using high-frequency acoustic waves. But as Reggie Cicchini explains, a new CIA report suggests otherwise.
It's a health crisis that's vexed officials for more than 5 years, the so-called Havana Syndrome that's beset hundreds of diplomats with cognitive and balance issues. It had been assumed it was an act of aggression, perhaps a weapon used by a foreign nation. But on Wednesday, the CIA rattled nerves by ruling out hostile acts.
Unless we see their data as to how they came to their analysis, just making this broad blanket statement is worthless.
The interim findings lay blame on environmental factors or pre-existing conditions, in many cases that occurred outside of Cuba.
Something happened to those people in Havana.
Dr. James Giordano has consulted with the State Department in its investigation and says while the vast majority of cases are circumstantial, those initial cases in Cuba are worrisome.
These individuals presented not only with subjective symptoms, but with objective clinical signs that are both qualitative and quantitative that support that something physical happened to those individuals.
Mark Polymeropoulos came down with the symptoms while serving in Moscow.
This was the most terrifying experience of my life.
He's concerned the CIA hasn't investigated enough reports, while lawyers argue it's all about saving face.
Our view is that this is a public relations response because many of their people have been declining to go overseas to serve in different capacities.
It's not just American diplomats searching for answers. More than 24 Canadians are suing Ottawa, accusing the government of mishandling their concerns.
The Canadian government, I believe, has not been transparent on this.
The case argues Ottawa hasn't done enough to protect its staff.
The diplomats, in our view, have been forgotten and essentially thrown under the bus.
Amid the search for answers, new cases have been reported, including an incident in Vietnam ahead of a visit by the vice president last August. The U.S. now investigates these as anomalous health incidents, although Giordano believes a directed energy weapon can't be ruled out.
The availability, viability, and therefore validity of these types of devices is apparent and has been recognized for a long time.
With no definitive explanation for dozens of cases, the investigations do continue, only without accusations that could lead to increased political tensions. Reggie Cicchini, Global News, Washington.
Next, the push to understand the massive volcanic eruption that left parts of Tonga in ruins. Heavy rains have caused widespread damage in the Peruvian town of Machu Picchu, cutting off access to the world-famous ruins. Officials say floods and landslides have washed away railroads and bridges, forcing the closure of Peru's most popular tourist attraction. At least one person has been reported missing. More international aid arrived in Tonga today, a week after an undersea volcanic eruption and subsequent tsunami hit the Pacific island nation. A Japanese plane delivered emergency supplies, including cleaning equipment and much-needed drinking water. Australia and New Zealand have also sent emergency shipments this week. Well, the people of Tonga are now in recovery mode, trying to clean up some of the catastrophic damage left behind. But there's also other work underway to understand why the massive eruption happened. As Mike Armstrong reports, scientists had been watching this volcano for years, and some are hoping their data will lead to answers.
Every aspect of this eruption will be analyzed: the explosion, the ash cloud, the shock wave. But one of the first things being studied is simply the timeline.
The evidence is suggesting now that the system was priming.
Glyn Williams-Jones is a volcanologist with Simon Fraser University. He says right now his concern is for the people of Tonga, but that there is an importance to understanding what happened because it could happen again. The Tonga volcano has a major eruption about every 1,000 years, but when it happens, it doesn't just happen once.
There's a very good chance that we will have renewed eruptions, maybe not of the same size, the same scale, but this could certainly go on for quite a few years.
Now, figuring out the sequence of events is going to be important, starting with when the volcano started popping out of the water again. In December of 2014, it created an island between two islands. After several months, it stabilized enough that there were expeditions.
Two French explorers who were sailing past the island on their worldwide voyage became NASA's eyes and ears, collecting some of the very first images and samples of the interior island.
Now, if this volcano seems small, that's because only a fraction of it was visible. It was actually massive. The part that could be seen was just a small portion of the rim around the crater.
It's your iceberg. You know, the vast majority of this volcano is underwater.
Now, last month, the volcano started puffing again, letting out pressure. It was being watched. This satellite image was just prior to the eruption and seems to show the middle part of the island had slipped back underwater.
This disappearance is very interesting.
Volcanologist John Sticks says there are theories as to what happened. It could be that the recent puffing was just pressure building and that led to the eruption, but the fact the island disappeared may mean something else. The puffing could have been the magma chamber letting out pressure until there wasn't enough to hold up the roof. It could have collapsed, leading to the island slipping underwater, and then the eruption.
So I think time will tell if this is the case or not, but I think it's definitely at least a possibility at this stage.
Understanding what happened will take time. Satellites only tell a part of the picture. To see underwater and what's left will take ships and sonar equipment remapping the ocean floor. For now, getting close enough to do that is still too dangerous. Mike Armstrong, Global News.
Tributes are pouring in for a revered Zen Buddhist monk who helped spread the practice of mindfulness in the West. Thich Nhat Hanh died peacefully in Vietnam at the age of 95. He was a prominent Buddhist monk, peace activist, and leading voice in opposition to the Vietnam War. He was exiled from Vietnam for 39 years over his mission to end the conflict. Thich Nhat Hanh lived much of his adult life at a retreat he founded in France, but spent his final years in Vietnam at the monastery where he was ordained. Today, the Dalai Lama tweeted, "The best way we can pay tribute to him is to continue his work to promote peace in the world." Next, how Canadians are honoring the remarkable careers of two women decades after they first made history. Well, she's known as one of the greatest jazz singers ever to grace the stage in Canada. And now Eleanor Collins is making history once again. The 102-year-old legend
That's still recharging.